Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us for a special edition of the Audacy Insights series. My name is Jenny Nelson, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Audacy. Today, we have a really exciting webinar with clients from both sides of the audio spectrum, local radio and podcasts. We're going to dig deep into how brands are leveraging both to build trust, drive measurable results, and connect with audiences in authentic ways. From a 30,000-foot view, we're all familiar with radio and digital audio's appeal. Trust, powerful connections with hosts that we love, and a real return on ad spend. But for businesses and advertisers on the ground, the trick is understanding which elements work best and how successful marketers are activating audio and pulling the right levers to drive results and outcomes. I personally have been a lifelong fan of audio. I remember driving to school, listening to our favorite morning show with my mom in the car and laughing at all of those morning segments. I remember calling in as a kid to hear my name on the radio. And today I live in San Francisco and I'm a huge fan of our Alice morning show with Sarah and Vinny. Last weekend I was at a cocktail party and a friend came up and said, "So I just have a question, what's happening behind the scenes with Sarah?" It's just this powerful connection that you have with the personalities that you're listening to on the radio, and you really feel that connection. I've also made room for digital audio and have my favorite podcasts that I've been binging. Right now, I'm listening to Good Hanging with Amy Poehler that I cannot get enough of. And I think that connection, that really the authentic way that we feel engaged with our hosts and with talent creates really powerful outcomes for advertisers. And that's what our esteemed panelists have come to talk to us about. So let's meet them and get started. But before I forget, just a couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions for me or for any of our panelists today, please feel free to submit them in the comments at any time. And we'll do our best to get to as many questions as we can later today. So first up, we have Gary Sarner, founder of ROI 360 Plus, the radio experts. Gary's a partner that I've worked with for many, many years. He's an expert in legal marketing who transitioned from the radio industry to redefine media buying strategies for law firms across the country. With over 37 years of experience, he founded ROI 360 Plus, the radio experts, in 2021. His agency isn't just about delivering results, it's about crafting media buying strategies that dominate the airwaves. We'll also get to speak with Chris Santon, VP of Sales for Choice Cabinet. Chris has been partnering with our 92.3 The Fan team in Cleveland for a few years. The Choice Cabinet team understands the competitive home improvement landscape and has found the right formula to stand out and connect with their target audience. And we're joined by Kate Karadimas, VP and GM of DTC for Aura Frames. Kate's an e-commerce growth leader. At Aura, she leads DTC sales and marketing and oversees performance marketing creative. Our podcast business has worked with Kate's team on numerous campaigns, specializing in top-rated shows. It's great to have you all here. Thank you for joining. And we really appreciate you sharing your unique voices on the audio strategies that are really working for you. So I want to jump in, and we're going to start with the first part of today's episode talking to Gary about AM/FM radio and why so many advertisers, including those in highly competitive industries like legal, continue to see incredible results on the airwaves. So let's talk a little bit about what makes radio so powerful. I've had a front row seat to see radio's impact for years and can tell you it's one of the most powerful tools in an advertiser's toolbox because it does a few things incredibly well. It reaches people locally, it builds trust, and it drives real quantifiable results. When you look at why, it's because of trust. Radio is consistently ranked as one of the most trusted media sources, and host endorsements are nearly 3 times more powerful than standard ads because they come from these voices that we know, believe in, and feel like we have relationships with. Also, that trust and connection truly drives performance. It's no surprise that this happens and creates purchase intent. No matter what metric you look at, radio drives conversions better than every other channel. Nearly half of radio listeners, about 47%, report purchasing a product or service they heard advertised on the radio, a conversion rate stronger than digital video, search, and TV. And I would argue that nobody understands radio's impact better than Gary. So Gary, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm especially excited about this conversation because Gary and I go way back, and I've seen firsthand how passionate he is about using radio to drive real results. He's a big believer in doing radio the right way. So Gary, let's dive in and hear what's worked for you. Why do you think radio continues to be such a powerful channel?
Well, first, Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I hope that everybody gets something that they could use for their business or for their stations going forward. But radio reaches people consistently day after day after day. And like the story you were telling about Alice out in San Francisco, everybody out there has that with a radio station or maybe two or three in a market. And that's the power of radio. It is the music, it is the talent that makes a difference in somebody's life, some way, shape, or form. And one of my favorite sayings is music matters. Music moves us. If you actually listen to words, they would have different meanings to all of us. Uh, just watched the Billy Joel special, the documentary on Netflix, and just the way he wrote and those songs, the meanings to him, how they then resonate with the audience. And then to see he's got two albums on the top 100 Billboard now. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now.
Great. I'm in Seattle today, and you're absolutely right. People have the shows that they're passionate about, the ways that they connect. This morning, I was in a meeting and somebody was talking about Gregor on the end and the connection that they feel with that local talent who they've never met, but listened to and have grown up with over the years. So one thing that we hear from a lot of successful radio advertisers is the importance of staying local. Really leaning into that connection with the community. It's something that radio does, I think, better than any other medium. How has being unapologetically local played a role in your success? What does it look like in your campaigns? And why do you think it resonates so strongly with listeners?
So, we do specialize in legal marketing, personal injury legal marketing. And it is one of the only businesses in America where you see so much advertising, you hear so much advertising, yet only 2% of the population will be in a car accident or need a personal injury attorney. So the crucial part of our campaigns is we need to let people know who they are, what they do, and how to reach them often. And it is a competitive category, and far more competitive today than when I started the agency 4.5 years ago. People follow. Now, my radio background, and I am a believer in radio through and through, spent my entire career in radio. You get to be so authentic with the messaging that you want the public to know about and why your law firm or why your business, it doesn't even have to be law, why a business matters. Now, community. Most businesses want to be involved in community. Radio stations have talent that are involved in the community. There are stories that come up on talk shows about community. One thing that I could speak about at a station that I worked at for many years, Kiss Country in Miami, the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital, Kiss Cares for Kids. I think I've been to 21 or 22 of them myself, but to just watch how the community, whether it's local people, local businesses, or the people involved at the radio station, get involved to help people. No other medium does it faster or better than radio. I can't hear you.
How about now?
Yep.
Great. Okay. So within the legal field, the power of branding is so important. A trusted legal professional isn't somebody that you're going to be shopping for. It's just you need it when you need it. So branding is so important. Why do you think let me ask this way. How do you feel it plays a strong role in long-term success? And why is it important not to just advertise when you need quick results, but to really build a consistent presence?
So, one of my favorite lines is marketing campaigns are not built in weeks or months, they are built over years. And as I speak to the law firms that I speak to on a daily basis, I let them know if you're expecting immediate results, it's not going to happen. You have to build a brand first. You have to be respected. And then at that moment of truth, when somebody actually needs an attorney, and this part you're probably not going to love, they go to Google. So if you don't stand out from your radio advertising, why would somebody choose you? You have told your story for months, for years, and people resonate with you. One firm I don't work with, Morgan & Morgan, which might be the biggest law firm in America, but not everybody wants that. So we try to touch local communities and say, we're here, we're with you, we're part of the community. When the radio stations do an event, we want to be a part of that event. We want to be in the community, always.
I think it takes a second when you start. Yep. I think it takes a second when you stop talking for me to talk. So I'm going to play that out here. But, you talked about events, you talked about being in the fabric of the radio brands, and taking advantage of, all of the ways that radio stations and our radio talent connects with the community. What are the other consistent strategies that you're employing that work? And you know what, before you do that, Gary, I think we have a spot of yours, like a radio commercial. I'd love to play one of those here, and then we can talk a little bit about how you bring that to life.
Okay.
New York's premier injury law firm.
We'll always fight for you if you're injured at a construction site.
If you've ever wished you had a lawyer in the family, now you will.
At Shulman Hill, it's never one and done. Once you're a client, you're always part of our family.
We'll always go the extra mile for you.
New Yorkers in every borough and on every block know us by name. Shulman Hill.
Get your free consultation at hurtny.com. That's hurtny.com.
Love it. So talk to us a little bit about what other strategies you're employing.
So we run for Shulman Hill in New York City approximately 10 different types of commercials on the radio, whether it's personal injury, whether it's a slip and fall, a car accident, construction, different lengths, 15s, 30s, as well as 5s, 8s, and 10s. It is all about frequency. One thing that has happened over the years since when I started in radio a long time ago is there are so many more choices today. So you need to be everywhere you can be and on the air as often as possible, because people are not spending 6 hours listening to their favorite radio station any longer. They're not spending 6 hours watching television all day. People are on their phones and the world is in front of us. So the repetition, the frequency of the campaign, and I set my campaigns up because radio has changed some. The way to reach the entire audience in a week, you need to have one commercial every quarter hour. It's almost impossible to do on radio today because of the way the breaks are done. So we set up our campaigns to have a 5 frequency within a month in reaching the total audience.
So I think I think looking at your strategy, let's talk about the payoff and how it works for your clients. Every marketer, I think, wants to know the number one question is my investment paying off. And radio has a great story we know to tell on ROI. But what results do you think advertisers should be measuring? Why do you think radio delivers such a strong ROI for your clients compared to other channels?
So to get real measurement on a campaign that we do, because when we market in any market across America, we are on a minimum of 10 radio stations at a time, month in, month out, annual campaigns. So the brand and the branded search is where they see the ROI. Now, again, legal is different than a lot of other businesses because people don't need them today. So the more activity that they have on their website, like what you just heard, our goal is for somebody to go to hurtny.com. And I think we've talked about this before, but you remember your parents' home phone number from the house you grew up in? But you don't know anybody else's phone number besides your husband and your kids today.
I know my kids. I know my husband's, but his office number, not a chance.
So as much as our goal is for them to remember that URL or a vanity number or a repeater number to dial in, nobody's remembering that today. But we want people to remember Shulman and Hill, every borough, every block, part of the family. And their digital team has to have the proper strategies that those things show up online when people go searching. So the home run is somebody goes and searches Shulman and Hill. Hopefully they spell it right. Mm-hmm. The firm definitely buys their name different ways to make sure that people find it. But at the end of the day, in the legal field, they have to do a search. And when they get to the top of the fold, and this is interesting, there's nothing on Google that's above the fold that isn't paid for today. So most people are not scrolling down. So the digital strategy is as important as the radio strategy because you're known. Now you're seen. I know those people. The story resonates with me. I need help and I want Alex or JJ at Shulman and Hill to help me. And my goal on any campaign that I do is I have to outshare every other law firm on the radio in that market. And we accomplish it in every market with the help of your team in each local market. Can't hear you.
How about now?
Yep.
I think our webinar service likes that little pause just to get me to slow down a little bit maybe. But Gary, thank you so much for joining us. Gary's going to join us at the close of our panel for additional audience questions. If you have any questions for Gary, please put them in the comment box, and Gary will bring you back on at the end of our webinar. So now I'd love to invite Chris onto the screen.